Hey, what's up, GW, coming to you live early Sunday morning. It's about 6 a.m. and I just got done watching a classic gem of the 80s, and it's called This Is Spinal Tap, released in 1984. It was one of the first parody rockumentary movies that I think was produced. And it was actually directed by, Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner actually went on to direct Misery later on in his career, and that turned out pretty well. This one is pretty good. He actually plays fictional documentarian Marty DeBurgi, and he follows the fictional band Spinal Tap, which is composed of Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer. And I remember, just an offshoot here, I remember that Spinal Tap, I think, was on Saturday Night Live way back in the day. I can't remember. But this movie chronicles the disastrous, crazy, ridiculous events of Spinal Tap's origins as well as their tour of America. Now, before I get into some of the things that go on here, there is a sequel that is being produced today. And it's probably going to be in development for a while, but it will be released. I think it has a 2026 release, which I read that and I wanted to go check out. Yeah, I know my hair's a mess. But like I said, I was up since like 3 a.m., so whatever. But I wanted to check out the original Spinal Tap, and actually it's not bad. It's well done. It's one of those movies that, looking back, it was actually a pretty neat little parody of a rock or documentary. Now there is a famous scene in here where Marty DeBurgi's talking to one of the band members, Christopher Guest, I believe. And it's an amplifier scene, and you'll know it when you see it. Instead of the amplifiers going to 10, they go to 11. And you have to see it. And it's one of those scenes that I've always heard about, seen it, didn't understand, where it was coming from. But it is a classic moment in cinema history, and we have Rob Reiner to thank. Also, when this movie came out, a couple of the promotional materials said that it was so offensive that it was downright hilarious. And it is. And the thing of it is, it's a tame movie except for some profanity, but it does show the ins and the outs and the touring and all that, and it does a really well done job of creating a fictional universe. Spinal Tap, and what's really interesting is it tries to mock the Beatles because it does the same type of format where you see the origins of the band, and at the end of the movie, they said that there's a line, one of the band members say, that they were around for 45 years. Which makes sense, because if you put them in the... Actually, no, it doesn't. Well, yeah, it does, because if they started in the 60s and then they go to the 80s, yeah. But this is a pretty interesting movie. Some might find it, downright hilarious as its spoof of, rock documentaries. I found it to be a pretty underrated flick when I first watched it. I had never seen it. Now, the other cool thing about this movie is there is cameos from people that were big in the 80s. Howard Hessman, Fred Willard. I believe Billy Crystal is in that, and I'm not sure, but there's a girl that looks like Fran Drescher. Which, if that was Fran Drescher, she had to have been about 20-25. So this movie is pretty packed, and that's another reason that I'm kind of thinking that they were on Saturday Night Live. I know that Saturday Night Live had a musical special, and I know I've seen them do one of their songs on there. I know I did whenever I was little. I can tell you that. I know I did. But it's It's a pretty cool, interesting movie. And Spinal Tap is forever known as England's loudest band. That's a ridiculous statement because all heavy metal bands are loud, obnoxious, but this was the first movie to break the mold. Um, the acting is really top notch, to be honest with you. These guys, Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, Harry Shearer, they really disappear into their roles. And they make you believe that this is actual band. In fact, if you saw this on TV and didn't know that it was an actual movie and you didn't see Rob Reiner in any of the scenes, you would probably think that it was an actual documentary. But very, very good. MGM put this thing out. And it is a classic. It's a staple of the 80s. And like I said, I had missed it because I had no interest in it, didn't know about it. And my buddy Dave told me about it. And I was like, you know what, I'll check it out. I haven't seen that film. And apparently it went on to infamy as to become a cult classic, you know. But very interesting. Very interesting at all. Also, Bruno Kirby is in this movie. He plays a cab driver. He was famous for being the coach in the Basketball Diaries. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, if that wasn't Fran Drescher, that girl looks exactly like it. She plays a record executive. And what I like about this movie is it actually has a story. As this tour goes on, you see fights between band members. You see, a manager who doesn't know how to get things done. And the interesting thing about it is that all of their drummers in this movie, the characters of the drummers, die in really strange, bizarre, WTF type ways. And it's ridiculous premise, but you know what? For this movie, they take it seriously. They turn the ridiculous to a little bit of serious, up to 11, if you will, and makes it more entertaining. And like I said, it's a very, very cool movie. There's nothing really offensive in it except for, a couple of F-bombs here and there toward the end. That's why I think it got the R rating. I think it was fairly tame when it came out. As far as content, like I said, just profanity here and there. This movie would probably be a PG-13 at best today because of the way content has changed. But very classic, very 80s movie, and I just wanted to say, it was a pretty interesting movie to watch. Now, it's not going to be... what's the word? It's not going to be action-packed the whole way. It more or less tells a narrative about this tour, and it takes its time, and you see, for about an hour and 20 minutes, you see the origins of this band, which isn't even a real band, like I said. And then you see the demise of it, and the sequel, and the rebirth. The sequel actually... I wonder what they're going to do after watching this. And it would be a cool thing to watch this and the sequel whenever it gets released back to back and see what exactly the storyline for this would be. But yes, Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap. Chronicles the rise and fall and rebirth of a fictional band. And they're promoting their Smell the Glove tour. And if you really look, if you're a musical historian too, or you know a little bit about censorship, you will see things in this movie that normal viewers won't notice. But it was really cool, staple from the 80s. I found it entertaining, and it's definitely worth a watch if you're into rock mockumentaries or you like Rob Reiner and somehow missed this. He plays, like I said, he plays all through this movie. So it's definitely worth checking out. And I don't know if you could watch this on YouTube or anything, but like I said, I got the Blu-ray for like $8, so, and it's the collector's edition Blu-ray. And it'll definitely stick with you, especially the characters. Like I said, all four of them, Rob Reiner, Harry Shearer, Michael McKean, and Christopher Guest, I mean, they really do amazingly well in this movie. They act their tails off, and I believe that this was their first big break, and I think they actually co-wrote this movie, or they actually did write this movie, I'm sorry, and they came up with the whole concept. And it's genius to see it work, because the way it's filmed, it's not amateur hour. I mean, these guys really knew what they were doing. But interesting film, fun time. I really enjoyed it, and I wish I would have checked it out earlier. If you're looking for something action-packed or never stops, this film does take its time a little bit, gets you set up, shows the backstory, shows the disastrous, ridiculous tour of America, how gigs are canceled because of this, that, and the other thing. And the way it's shot, it's amazing. The cinematography is really good. You know, and it has that cool color to it to make it look like it actually was set in the 80s. You know, I really enjoyed it. It's probably one of those films you'll dig out maybe once or twice a year and check out. But definitely worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch. I really dug it. And that's really all I got to say about that. So, anyway, look it up. And more news on the sequel, you know. Also, on an unrelated topic, ESPN's coming out with its new streaming service on August 21st, or 26th. And it seems like Peacock will lose the rights to WWE. So, I don't know what's going on there. So, it's going to be a shame. Now, the big rumor is if you have YouTube TV or any of that, they're still going back and forth as whether or not you're going to get the ESPN app that costs $30 standalone, or you're just going to get it incorporated with that. And also, Disney is going to dissolve the Hulu app and put all of Hulu's channels and shows right in Disney Plus. So Hulu will no longer be a thing anymore. Seems like Disney wants to buy up everything and change everything. And hey, that's cool. That's cool. Also, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot is coming along pretty good. We actually, earlier, I've been following this, you know. And the new Slayer's name is Nova, which that's pretty cool. And Sarah Michelle Gellar will reprise her role as Buffy Summers. And as far as I know, most of the cast is coming back, except for a few notable people, maybe Nicholas Brandon, David Boreanaz. I don't know if they're going to come back. Well, I know Nick Brandon isn't, because he has a very troubled past, and I don't know if he'll be on this one or not. It'd be awesome if he was, you know. So, there's that. Clown in the Cornfield that I reviewed yesterday is actually very, very good. Like I said, I just glossed over that review yesterday. And it was pretty good. I do hope there's a sequel for that. As far as sequels or prequels or redo, Osgood Perkins apparently has the rights to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. So that's pretty good. If he does a movie, I hope he does it good, because his movies are awesome. You know, Longlegs the Monkey, great stuff. So there's that. And something else going on in Hollywood too, and I just can't remember what. But yeah. So other than all that, I have nothing, and I hope you guys check out Spinal Tap. I hope you guys really enjoy it. I thought it was a pretty cool watch, and it was comfortable viewing. I mean, it didn't make you think. I mean, you just put your brain on the back burner and watch this for about an hour and a half. But like I said, the cool thing about it, story, creativity, special appearances, I dug it. And the songs will stick with you. If you start humming them, I guarantee you will not stop singing these stupid fake songs. So, it's my take on this is Spinal Tap.